Hello, my name is Thomas Healy, and I am a speech-language pathologist assistant. Here I will demonstrate how to use Cornell note-taking to address various speech goals relating generally to story comprehension and vocabulary. This video will specifically target how we can address answering WH questions, defining vocabulary words in context, providing the main idea, and producing a summary of the lesson. Cornell notes take advantage of a specific page layout to organize information during a lesson. This can be easily adapted on regular notebook pages. I've taken the general structure of Cornell notes and made some small adjustments and additions. Now, although I'm presenting on this iPad, students do not need to have this on an iPad. They can easily be printed out, and I have supplied physical copies for my students who use Cornell Notes for their lessons. Let's briefly go through the parts of the Cornell Notes page. First, notice how the page is primarily divided into two columns. On the left side is where we have our questions and vocabulary. On the right side is where we write the answers and definitions. At the bottom of the page is a space to provide a summary and a miniature visual prompt, which I'll describe more about in a minute. Cornell Notes are very versatile and can be used with textbook passages, literature, video, and podcasts. I prefer using YouTube videos from channels such as Animal Logic and TED Ed. For this video, I'll be using the TED Ed video, The History of Chocolate. Before I start my video, I have my students ponder some questions. You might find some students may have a difficult time knowing what kind of questions to generate. That's where our story retail hand helps. Each finger corresponds to a particular detail to help retell a story. But in this case, parts may also be used to generate questions. Since our topic is the history of chocolate, we could ask, who invented chocolate? When was chocolate invented? Where was chocolate invented? Or where did it come from? I usually encourage about 3 to 4 questions, depending on the size of the group, before I begin the video. Students write their questions in the left column at the top. I encourage students to leave a space between questions. It's pretty common that a given question may have many parts to its answers, so it will give us plenty of room to write the details. Now that we have our questions, let's start the video.
If you can't imagine life without chocolate, you're lucky you weren't born before the 16th century. Until then, chocolate only existed in Mesoamerica, in a form quite different from what we know. As far back as 1900 BCE, the people of that region had learned to prepare the beans of the native cacao tree. The earliest records tell us the beans were ground and mixed with cornmeal and chili peppers to create a drink, not a relaxing cup of hot cocoa, but a bitter, invigorating concoction, frothing with foam.
Okay, after viewing a small part of the video, I ensure to ask students, what questions have we answered? This will bring focus back to the questions they generated. So let's answer them. Who invented chocolate? Well, it was the ancient Mesoamericans. And when was chocolate discovered? I believe it said 1900 BCE. And where was it discovered? Well, ancient Mesoamerica. This is great that we can refer back to the video and have a look at the specific place. There's ancient Mesoamerica. Hey, that looks a lot like Mexico. So we'll write that in, ancient Mexico. And now let's bring our attention down here to the bottom. Just before we stopped the video, we came across some great vocabulary targets. I like writing vocabulary word at the bottom of the page, and I usually start from the bottom up. This would leave room for us to generate more questions, as well as record more vocabulary words as the lesson goes on. What I like about using videos is that it makes it very easy to go back and replay that section to provide those context clues. After we have some details filled in, here's what we can fine-tune the notes for more specific goals. For students with the summary goals, they can refer to the question and number them in order in which they were answered in the lesson. They answered, where was chocolate discovered? And when was it discovered? And who invented it? Kind of answered those in reverse order. And then we can provide that quick summary. And at the top of the page, you'll also notice there's a space to provide the main idea. So what's great is that we already have the details necessary that are often used to support the main idea. So all the student has to do is take all these facts and synthesize them together into our main idea statement. And that's how modified Cornell notes can be used in speech therapy. If you enjoyed this video, please say so. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share my channel to view more examples of using other graphic organizers and strategies in speech therapy. Thanks.